No consequence is not a subpoena. It's a suggestion.
Republican Chairman Rand Paul says Fauci's constitutional right against self-incrimination does not apply since he was pardoned by former President Biden. Democrats say Republicans are breaking with precedent by not respecting a witness's Fifth Amendment privilege. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The committee is expected to refer the contempt resolution to the Department of Justice. Fauci's attorney calls the vote a political stunt. Iran's top Revolutionary Guard commander says that Tehran will keep pursuing nuclear weapons as long as U.S. and Israel have them. As for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, Iran says it's close to a framework with Oman, but it won't automatically reopen the waterway.
President Trump reiterated yesterday the Iranians always lie about the substance of negotiations, but this morning he also sent a signal that the U.S. is ready to resume war if necessary, denying reports about military stockpile concerns. Posting to Truth Social, the U.S. has massive amounts of munitions, especially of certain types. Additionally, though large amounts are being manufactured and shipped to the U.S. as needed, defense companies are building the largest number of plants and factories in our country's history.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. And a salmonella outbreak expands. The CDC says the illness linked to Mexican jalapenos has sickened 345 people in 27 states, prompting Chipotle and Qdoba to pull the peppers from their menus. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon, expect a mix of sun and clouds with a passing shower, making it feel humid. The temperature will reach a high of 79. Tonight, there's a chance of a thunderstorm in the evening. Otherwise, it will be partly cloudy and humid with a low of 67. Tomorrow will be humid with intervals of sunshine and a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Gas prices in Chicago are riding like a roller coaster. They go up, they come down. Well, they come down a little bit, but then they go back up again. AM 560 wants to help ease your pain at the pump. Listen each weekday afternoon at 12:30 and 5:30 for the lowest gas prices around Chicagoland. And if you see a low gas price, let us know. Just text the word gas to 312-642-5600, followed by the price and location, and we'll share it right here on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to supplements, two things matter most. One, that it works. And two, you can trust it. Rather than just tell you about Relief Factor, I want to let my audience do it. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed, and I'd like you to hear a few of their stories. Mark was in tears from his daily hand joint discomfort, but after a week on Relief Factor, he felt 50% better, and now he barely notices any pain. He is so happy, he says he's spreading the word to everybody he knows. My hands were like Mark's. I couldn't even button my own shirt at times. Like Mark and me, there are so many people getting their life back with Relief Factor. They make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor helped you tackle your daily aches and pain. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Call 1-800-4RELIEF. Get the 3-week quick start, $17.76. 1-800-4RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com. You'll be connected with their friendly local team, and they will do everything they can just to help. We hope you soon will be sharing your story with us.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
This is the Sheriff's Office. We have a report of missing employees at Hassleus Mattress.
Yes, Hassleus Mattress showrooms are employee-free.
You're confessing?
That's how we keep our prices way low. And through Monday, trade in your old mattress and take $248 off a queen and $348 off a king.
Sounds suspicious.
Free next day delivery, too.
Dispatch, I need a police escort for a Hassleus Mattress delivery truck to my house.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleus.com.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have a lot of questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? I'm Edward Jones financial advisor, Nolan Webster. Let's work together to make sure your finances meet your unique needs over the long haul. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Call me at 224-801-6107 to schedule an appointment. That's 224-801-6107. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
So your next 5 minutes could be your most productive 5 minutes in years, at least when it comes to your finances anyway. That's all it takes to find out exactly how much you'll save joining MediShare versus what you're paying now for healthcare. It's very typical for people to find out they can save hundreds a month, thousands a year. The typical family saves up to $500 a month. And healthcare sharing is different for sure. It's refreshing different. We know from member surveys, people love saving the money, of course, but they also just like Medishare more than what they were doing before for healthcare costs. And it's not a new thing. It's been proven for more than 30 years. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are part of this. So call them now. They are great to talk to. And very quickly, you'll find out what you can save. You can get your questions answered. Your next 5 minutes could mean saving hundreds a month, month after month. And here is the number. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
This hour is brought to you by Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson. Heard Sunday mornings from 7 to 9 a.m. Learn more at retirementdecoded.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
The following live program is sponsored by Breakthrough Ideas.
AM 560, The Answer. It's time for breaking news, expert insight, and informed commentary on what's happening in Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. Because an informed citizenry is the only way to protect our republic. It's time for The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson.
Okay, well, we're not going to stop talking about it because it is going to be the talk everywhere until we are past the November election. And that is, how did somebody like Abdul El-Sayed get elected as a Democrat in a very purple state called Michigan? Abdul El-Sayed was born October 31st, 1984 in Detroit to Egyptian immigrant parents. He grew up in Southeast Michigan, attended public schools. He was a captain of his high school football team, wrestling, lacrosse team. Sounds like the ideal American. He earned a Bachelor of Science from the University of Michigan, followed by a medical degree from Columbia University, College of Physicians and Surgeons. He had an NIH-funded fellowship. He completed another degree in public health at Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. Wow. And he served as an assistant professor of epidemiology at Columbia University. This guy is a very, very well-educated man, very well-educated. If you consider degrees the epitome of education, which many folks do. It's impressive to go ahead and get a medical degree. My son's getting a degree in medicine right now. He's going to be a doctor. So we absolutely respect people who have gone through the university system. So how did he come out as such a radical? And what do we do about it? It gets even worse. You have people like Yale professor Samuel Moyn, who thinks 24-year-old college graduates should get proxy votes for other people's children. And he had a long-form podcast with Ross Duhat, who does Interesting Things podcast. And this is what that Yale professor said on the podcast.
I've gotten in some hot water for proposing we consider overweighting the votes of younger people or assigning the youngest eligible voters proxy votes for the unrepresented children of our country. So those are edgy.
Why not assign them to those children's parents?
Well, because there's a divergence of interest between parents and children. And I think it's likelier that young people, not people who are raising families, will have the best insight into the interests of children. Whereas if you were awarded 5
I think
proxy
that's
votes,
daft. I think it's absurd to imagine that a 24-year-old recent college graduate has a better assessment of the interests of my own children than I do. I say this with all due respect to 24-year-old recent college graduates, of whom I hope to be the parent of in 9 years or so.
I think parents generally confuse the interests of their family with the interests of their children. And part of our goal, I think, as parents, but also as a society, is trying to make sure that children aren't the hostages of their parents, as much as we rely on parents to raise them.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's Yale professor Samuel Moyn. Yale professor teaching other people's children. Yale professor. And then you had this article, it was the new McCarthy's. 40% of professors would vote against hiring a Trump voter, writes Jonathan Turley. He calls it the new McCarthyism. Roughly 40% of college faculty would oppose hiring a Trump supporter. The results of the study are not surprising. Too many in the field of teaching. Well, that's where we bring in our expert, our great guy here locally, Charles Lipson. He's the University of Chicago professor, brings years of teaching experience to these issues. He's worked closely with students, faculty, and administrators as chair of both the undergraduate and PhD programs in political science, as well as the master's program in international relations. He is now professor emeritus, and he writes at American Spectator, and you can follow him. You can get his free op-eds, which are very informative, at charleslipson.com, charleslipsons.com. He's also a prolific writer. And we're going to talk to him both about his book on free speech and doing honest work in college. But before we get to that, Charles, what say you of the DEI that's infused the colleges, universities?
Oh, it's just dreadful. Not only because it gives us poor quality almost deliberately, but because it moves us toward reinforcing the idea that everything is about identity politics. The big story on that this week is a professor who's just resigned after all sorts of things about plagiarism and incompetence and so forth came out at Cambridge University in England. And it was clearly a DEI appointment. Let me say something about Professor Moyne. By the way, I got my undergraduate degree at Yale. It was part of that pipeline that went from rural Mississippi, where I was raised, straight to Yale, and then on to Harvard. There is no one who accuses university professors of wisdom. It's just not valued. What is valued is originality. And what you saw there was straining, like a constipated professor, straining for originality. What I wish Ross had asked him is, would you give the same vote to an unborn child?
Yeah, good question. Well, he wouldn't recognize that there's a child that's unborn. Right.
See, my view is that there is a very real problem with what's going on in universities. And if you looked at the vote for El Sayed, who you started the program with, you would notice that his margin of victory came from these overwhelming vote for him in the counties where the University of Michigan and Michigan State are located. And those are counties where the students are not present during the summer. So in other words, what you're seeing are the teachers and administrators voting overwhelmingly for guys like this. It's a gift to the Republicans in a sense, because I don't think he'll win in a purple state, but it is a huge setback for the country that people like him and Mamdani and so forth are winning. The mayors and of deep blue cities and governors are, with the exception of the mayor of San Francisco, who's pretty competent, an heir to the Levi Strauss fortune, with him as almost the only exception. These deep blue cities and deep blue states are just awfully governed. And the result of that is that people are getting the hell out.
Right. Well, are you surprised that more progressive candidates are cozying up to Hassan Piker, who's doubling down on his hate for America?
By the way, I think you've just nailed the crucial way to campaign against this. It's not to talk about communism, although, I mean, it's not to emphasize that overly much. I think that's important. But I think it's the hate for America that really combined. Why would you have Islamicists and communists forming a coalition? And the answer is they both hate America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this guy he's he grew up in America. What's wrong with our education system that produces somebody with this radical of views? I can understand you've got some far left folks, the pro-abortion crowd, the LGBT crowd, but this is political. I mean, suicide. If we go down this route, I mean, it's a threat.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand.
Want to blow up. They want to blow up basic constitutional features. I do think that that what's happened now is that our politics is increasingly resembles. You remember those Chinese finger puzzles where you get locked in by each side pulling a finger against the other, and that's kind of what our politics looks like now, don't you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, are the universities to blame for a lot of this?
I think they are to blame for a fair amount of it, but I would also say that K-12 is just as bad, maybe worse. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, the odd thing about these very left-wing movements is that they're always talking about minorities and the working class, and those are the two groups that don't vote for them. I mean, blacks are not voting for this very left-wing movement. And if you look at the so-called Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, the number of people who are working class in it is less than 4%. So it's really graduate students of the world unite.
Yeah. Now, a lot of our kids are going back to school this week, next week. I mean, how can we get involved? Do you just check on their syllabus, see what classes they're taking?
Well, I think that's it. What you're really seeing, again, is people are voting with their feet. There are great universities. The Big Ten universities are great universities. Where there's a breakdown, I think, is in the humanities and some of the soft social sciences. But people are voting with their feet. They're moving to the University of Georgia, to Ole Miss, to the University of Alabama. And not just because they have great football teams, but because people are kind of reasonable there. There are actually protests against these kinds of things when they happen at those universities.
Okay, let's turn to another issue that was brought up by Roberto Serrano. He is a professor of economics at Brown University, and he said half of his students are cheating, and he gave them a take-home midterm exam because of the shooting that happened. Half of them are cheating. Yeah. Okay. First of all, the exam was made available to students through an online portal, and they would have 11 hours for a 2-hour test to complete and submit each. Unsurprisingly, the course enrollment jumped to 86, far above the 30, which is the highest. And the average grade was 96, with 40 students obtaining a perfect score. That compared to midterm average ranging between 65 and 80 in previous years. And he knows that they were cheating, and he writes this whole lengthy article. I won't go into all of it. So we have a lot of cheating go on. You, though, you wrote an interesting book, Doing Honest Work in College. And 3 principles: do the work you say you do, give others credit, and present your research fairly. What's happening on college campuses? I think the AI cheating is out of control.
It is. I would say that there are now several problems. One of the things that you're hearing from professor after professor is shorter attention spans, that you can no longer assign even whole books. And that's really not about AI. That's really about everything being online and short form. It's a kind of TikTok attention span. That's one thing. The second thing is that I think we've sort of lost the plot on what college is for. College is partly to make friends, partly to think about and perhaps prepare for a career, and partly to learn something about the great civilization that is being passed on to a new generation. And the problem there, as you were alluding to earlier, is that the teachers who are most responsible in the humanities and social sciences for talking about the greatness that is being passed on to you from, let's say, the Federalist Papers or Shakespeare or the rest, don't actually believe in the civilizational values that are being passed on. And so I think students also pick that up. There's also been a complete breakdown in grading over the last 30 years. Harvey Mansfield, a legendary professor at Harvard, used to give, until he retired in his 90s last year, had taken to giving students 2 grades. One was the grade that you would normally get from other classes, that is the deflated grade, and the other is the real grade that you should get in this class. And I think that
wow,
what you're seeing is remember the old joke about the Soviet Union? We pretend to work and they pretend to pay us. I think there's a lot of that's going on in college classes now.
Well, they grade on a curve. My son goes to Georgia Tech, and there's a lot of classes. You got a 81. How'd you get an A? It's like, they base it on a curve to make everybody feel better. I don't know, or to make it look like we're producing the best engineers
curve
in the world.
grading's been around for a while, though, based on all sorts of reasons.
I don't want to go across a bridge that was built by somebody low on
exactly.
that curve.
All right, maybe I should have. I recant. I removed the question.
Hey, we're getting short on time, but I did want to address this before we have to let you go because we have time constraints here. But your most recent op-ed in The Spectator was, "Will the wars in Ukraine and Iran merge?" This is your area of expertise, and you wrote this. What do you think? Will these wars merge, given the fact that you've got common allies on both sides?
Well, you have, I think it's an interesting question. They've already merged on the bad guys' side, right?
Yes.
The Russians are being strongly backed by the Chinese, and we now know that a lot of the missiles that are hitting Ukrainian cities are coming from North Korea. They're not merged on the side of the good guys. That is, the United States has had precious little support from its Asian or European allies for what's going on in the Persian Gulf. And I think right now Trump is caught between the dog and the hydrant there. I think if he lets the Iranians stretch it out further, what they'll do is break it as we get close to the midterms, even closer. We're less than 90 days now. But as we get closer, because they would benefit greatly from having the Democrats in power, in part because they'll tie up the Trump administration. So I think Trump has got to figure out whether he wants to go big or just let this thing draw on. But I've been surprised at how he's let them tap him along.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope that we get a resolution soon. And, I don't know, whatever happened to the idea that sometimes total war is what you need to do when you've got an enemy that wants to kill you?
Well, yes. And I think, though, that the big problem that they're worried about is we've learned just how hard it is to stand up a stable successor government. We learned it in Afghanistan. We learned it in Iraq. And I think there's just a lot of fear, not only about knocking out the current government in Iran, but about standing up a successor when you have so many people who want to fight to the death to stay in power or to advance their millenarian views of Islam.
Yeah. He's Professor Charles Lipson. You can find his opinion pieces at charleslipson.com. And we thank him so much for giving us this great commentary this morning.
Great to talk to both of you, Jeannie and Amy.
Thanks a lot. We'll be right back.
Don't believe the official narrative? You've got the real story on AM 560, The Answer.
It's peaceful here. Quiet. But it wasn't always. Here, the past isn't confined to textbooks or museums. It's in the soil, a pulse within the earth. Here, you can walk in step with history, where others once marched towards the unknown. The past is never really behind us. It's here, under our feet. The land never forgets the stride of the weary or the reach of the hopeful. The land remembers. And so does the American Battlefield Trust, dedicated to preserving America's hallowed battlegrounds. Now, on our nation's 250th birthday, become a member so the next acre becomes the next chapter. The next chapter becomes the next lesson. Join the trust. Protect the future. Go to battlefields.org.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
August is Sandwich Month, and Easy Cater is rolling out a new surprise deal every week from August 3rd through 30th. That means every order of delicious sandwiches for your team comes with a side of something special just for you. From cheesesteaks and cubanos to pita pockets and pastrami, Easy Cater makes it easy to bring everyone's favorite sandwiches to work and rack up big rewards while you're at it. New week, new deal, all August long. Visit easycater.com to place your next order and take a bite out of Sandwich Month. Restrictions apply. See offer details at easycater.com.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
AM 560, The Answer.
Amy, he has regrets.
Yes.
Speaker Chris Welch says he regrets aspects of how the sexual harassment case involving Benton was handled.
Yeah, he said that. Yes, he knew about it. It's her fault, though, Jeannie, because she filled out a form, but she didn't officially file it. So he's a little bit of victim shaming in his apology to her. As for those raunchy pictures that he liked with emojis of people drooling, he's learned his lesson.
I certainly have learned a lot from this situation. Certainly have changed already my social media behavior because I don't want to make another person feel uncomfortable as I did in this situation. And I'm going to own that.
Yeah, and later on, hopefully we'll have time to play his reaction to asking that woman to dinner. Oh, but it was just lunch.
Just own that. How about owning the Safety Act? How about owning massive budgets? How about owning, $77 billion in tax increases?
Coming up,
own it all.
The Battle of the Greeks. Maria Pappas joins us and to tell us why she wants to run and what she thinks of her challengers.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags.
Fox News, I'm Gianna Gelosi. A week after Dr. Anthony Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times at a Senate hearing, the panel voted to refer Fauci to the DOJ for contempt of Congress.
Republican Chairman Rand Paul says Fauci's constitutional right against self-incrimination does not apply since he was pardoned by former President Biden. Democrats say Republicans are breaking with precedent by not respecting a witness's Fifth Amendment privilege.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. President Trump says a deal with Iran is close and the U.S. isn't running out of weapons.
President Trump says it is happening soon because if it doesn't, people in Iran will die. Disputing reports that the U.S. has cleaned out precision surface-to-surface missiles, the president says the U.S. has massive amounts of munitions, especially of certain types. Additionally, large amounts are being manufactured and shipped to the U.S. as needed.
Fox's Peter Ducey. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon, expect a mix of sun and clouds with a passing shower, making it feel humid with a high of 79. Tonight, there will be a chance of a thunderstorm in the evening. Otherwise, it'll be partly cloudy and humid with a low of 67. Tomorrow will bring humid conditions with intervals of sunshine and a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
All right. I love my garage floor. I can't wait to see it every day. I actually miss it right now, Jeannie. Why? Because Level 10 Coatings gave my garage floor a total makeover. It used to be cracked, uneven, stained, covered in salt, but not anymore. Level 10 Coatings came in. They got it done. They leveled the garage floor. They put on not epoxy, but polyurea, which is stronger than epoxy, and it's even better. And there's no chipping. And it's guaranteed to never chip or peel. I got to tell you that. I went to work, I came home, and voila, it was done. A shiny new gleaming garage floor, a quick, easy fix, permanent, durable solution. So here's the deal. Get your free quote today and mention me, Amy, and you'll receive $500 off. To schedule your free appointment, go to level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, guess what? They do more than garage floors. They also do sidewalks, patios, basements, any outdoor space, and commercial properties in Northwest Indiana and Southeast Michigan, and of course, Chicago and the Chicagoland area. Big or small, they cover them all. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
The mainstream media isn't just biased. They're hiding stories from you, deliberately.
Restoration News is changing that. With elite researchers and fearless writers, Restoration News is the conservative media force fighting back in the information war for America's future. Download the Restoration News mobile app today or visit restoration-news.com. That's restoration-news.com. Real stories, real truth. It's time you knew what they don't want you to know.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com. This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeanne, Ives, and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. AM 560. The Answer.
All right. Welcome back to The Real Story with Jeanne, Ives, and Amy Jacobson. You know, Jeanne, Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas, known her for years, trust her. And we have a number of things to talk to her about, including the apathy of voters, or voter apathy, I should say, in Cook County and mostly parts of Illinois. With that, we welcome her to the program. Good morning, Maria Pappas. How are you?
Good morning. It's great to be with you. We've got a research group in here headed up by Hal Dardick. We've now got Andy Grimm. We've got 2 or 3 University of Chicago students. And so on cookcountytreasure.com, there are a number of Pappas studies. And Amy, you know this better than anybody, that there ain't much left of the press that's doing investigative journalism. So we've kind of taken that on, and it's called the Pappas studies. Our most recent one is really disgusting. I mean, when Dardick came in and gave me these figures, I'm like, I'm going to puke. So here's why. How about that? How about starting out your show that way?
Okay.
So look, in the last election, go figure this, in the last 2 elections, one of those, that consolidated election, nobody shows up for anyway. But what happened? Roughly 20% of the people in the entire Cook County voted. But of that 20% that voted, $335 million worth of new bond deals went through. Now that's pretty scary, because you've got situations where there's 16,000 people, 1,600 or 2,000 come out and vote and pass an $80 million deal. So the lowest turnout in this referendum study, increased taxes, and get this, Northbrook Rural Fire Protection District. Does anybody even know where that is? But if you live in Northbrook, 815 people out of 16,000 people approved a $425,000 tax increase. And then what you have is, people who come into my office and they're like, I hate it, I hate this, I hate that, I hate this. Did you vote? No. Did you vote? No. I live in Water Tower, no secret. I get on the elevator every day. I hate Brandon. I hate garbage. I hate electric. I hate phone. I hate gas. Did you vote? No. Did you vote? No. Did you vote? No. In my building, even 20% of the people vote. So I want to give you another example here, because this is like disgusting. This is Leiden Fire Protection District. Really? Leiden Fire Protection District. Does anybody even know where it is? But people actually live there. 9.4% of the eligible voters voted. And what did they vote for? They voted for a $3 million increase for a new fire station. So then everybody gets upset because there's a $730,000 increase, okay, which amounts to about 24% a year for the cost of a home. So, you know, in these 20 referendums that people voted on, 15 of them passed. And you've got a $335 million tax increase, and people are like, oh, I stayed home. Okay, so you got what you deserved. Even when people go to the polls, the most complicated if you get to the bottom of the ballot, do you even understand the question they're asking you? Sometimes it's 5 or 6 sentences. I'm a lawyer. I don't know what they're saying. So what we're finding is that that at the very bottom, the questions that appear at the bottom, 1,600 of the voters who went to the polls in the Roselle Fire Protection District in 2025, 504 people voted to increase taxes by 375%, 375,000. That means 69% of the people skipped the question. They got to the polls. Wait a minute. They get to the bottom. It sounds like it's Greek to me. They skipped the question. So what happens? 504 people pass on 375,000. So my message out there to everybody, everybody's, the mayor's election and the governor's election. This last election, I was in the treasurer's race. Breckwinkle and Pritzker and Pappas, they won by an overwhelming majority. I didn't win anything. 80% of the people didn't even vote in my election. What are you telling me, an overwhelming majority? Like an overwhelming majority of the 20% who voted? So we need to start to think about why people never vote. And one of the reasons, I think, is there's no major excitement there. There's no major excitement about who is going to help change things. There's no Harold Washington movement, okay? There's no movement up front that, you know what? You go to the Cubs game, everybody's like really excited. You go to the Bears game, the pre-game, everybody's nobody's excited about anything in politics. Nobody.
You know what? I'm just going to butt in here, just if you don't mind for a minute, because they certainly are excited. Because you put Trump's name into anything on the Democrat side, and people are just their heads explode, and it brings them out to vote against him in this state. That's what they do. And so what they've done is they've taken these local elections. They've taken even like the U.S. Senate race, for example, and they have nationalized every single thing, even when it comes to a school board race, a state rep race. It's like, how do you feel about Trump? How do you feel about ICE? I'm sorry, I'm not voting on that on a school board. I'm not voting on that in a municipality, quite frankly, in, a small town. Maybe Chicago, you might have some influence there. But truthfully, that's what they've done. They've tried to nationalize everything when it should be about what's happening locally. And so people's heads spin. And so I've often said that if you can nationalize a race to some degree, perhaps that energy goes with your candidate in a positive way. But on the other flip side, it can also go out negative. But you go to the board, you go to a door, and they want to know how you feel about Trump. They don't care that you just got taken to the cleaners with, $800 million in tax increases, the largest budget in the entire state history, despite out-migration and education in your schools absolutely sucks. They don't care. They want to know how you feel about Trump. What the hell's that?
Really interesting. What I find really very interesting in this election, someone sent me yesterday. I want to show you this. This came from a really well-known press guy. He told me that in the Chicago Tribune, in May 11th of 2019, Alexi Giannoulias wrote an op-ed praising Trump. Okay, now it's election year. Okay, and he's running for whatever he's running for, and he's obviously done some polling because he comes from a staunch. His father-in-law is a staunch Republican. And that says you've got to trash Trump. So all of a sudden he's running these ads where he's, trashing Trump because the polling is telling him to trash Trump. But if you go back to 2019, he said, we got to work with him. He's a wonderful guy, blah, 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 blah. So what's happening is this. People are polling, and people who have the money, I don't have any money in this race. I've got 100,000 bars of soap that say, clean up Chicago, Maria Pappas for mayor. And I'm not announced yet, and I'm not going to announce until much later because I don't want to give up my radio shows, which are very, very popular on WVON, Black Houses Matter. I'm like one of the most popular talk show hosts. I ain't giving up the radio program to get out there and do polling and spend a ton of money and say, hey, let's all hate Trump. Let's all hate ICE, because that's what the polling tells me to say. Okay. Fact of the matter is, excuse me, the guy just took like $15 billion out of here and you're not talking to him? Hello? And then when asked, you say you're going to talk to him. But meanwhile, just a second. And let's get this straight, Amy. You are trashing Trump because he's a bully, and you're a bully. You're trying to bully everybody out of the mayor's race. You're trashing somebody, and you're just like him. You're bullying just like him. Give me a break.
We're on the line with Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas.
So that gets out there. Well, you're bullying everybody in this race. You're trashing everybody. You and your minions behind the scenes are threatening people, telling them you're going to beat people up, on and on and on and on. And I'm not going to get into details. It's disgusting.
Well, I want the details, Maria, but you did have
I'm not giving you the details.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to give you the details because the people around him are bullies.
Okay.
And they got a
wait. Now, hold on.
Because they're acting just like them.
All right. You had a quote of the week in the Chicago Tribune. Tell us what your quote of the week was in the Tribune.
My quote of the week is that your IQ needs to be higher than your body temperature. How about that?
And what was the comment you made about his six-pack abs?
How about try this on for size? Hey, you're running for mayor. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 does not equal 22. And that's what you're dealing with. That's what you're dealing with him.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I get
for
it.
sure.
You can't be a jock and think you can buy your way into City Hall because you've got a crown and you're a prince. And you're telling everybody, I need to get Maria Pappas out of this race, and there's one way to do it. I'm going to get her thrown off the ballot, and I'm going to win it outright. I just need to throw her off the ballot.
Yeah,
and that's what's going on here.
Okay,
so you know what? Yeah, you know what? I am out passing out soap. I'm passing my petitions.
I love
it. I'm good and ready. I'm going to announce. And you know what? You keep talking about Trump being a bully. Who do you think you and the people around you are? What do you think they are? You want me to spell bully? B-U-L-L-Y? You think people are stupid? They don't see through all the insincerity in your ads? Go ahead and spend $22 million. When the other candidates who've all been bullied by you, okay, and they all call me, they all adore me, okay? All the candidates, I talk to them all the time, okay? When this is all said and done, do you really think that $22 million can buy you City Hall? I don't think people are that stupid.
No, I mean, look at Michael Bloomberg with $1 billion couldn't buy any traction in the Democrat primary for president. So, it's not always money. You have to have some amount of money, but you don't need to have the most.
Amy, listen to me. You can run all the ads you want, but when you come off as insincere, good luck. And I don't care who you are. It doesn't have to be him. It could be any of them. If you come off as insincere and don't have the brain power to run the fifth floor, then you know what? You lose. Why are you trying to throw everybody off the ballot so that you can make it in the first round? You afraid of running against somebody one-on-one? Huh? Is that what you're afraid of? Yeah, you're afraid. And I know it.
Oh, he's just
people in his camp that are talking.
He's been handed every single race. This is a joke. He's been handed every single race, and now the unions want to hand him this race because they want to control him. But I mean, if you're being sued by the CTU, you're a little bit of a hero.
You know what? Let me just tell you something. What that's about.
Okay.
Stacey's got to elevate her profile. So how do you elevate your profile in Cook County? You attack Maria Pappas. That lawsuit's going to get thrown out, okay?
Sure.
They've already gotten $4.6 billion from me. They're complaining about $35 million. You know what? She's got to do something to elevate. I get it. I'm like, hey, Stacey, I'd love to talk to her. I'm like, hey, Stacey, what are you doing? You want to redeem yourself. What are you coming after me for? Go after Janulius. I'm not the enemy. Brandon needs me in this race. What's the matter with you?
Well, do you think he's going to run again? I mean, if you were him, would you run again if the polling shows the black community only 12.9% want him to run?
I'm the only person out there. I'm one of several people out there who thinks he's credible. I think he could win again. I really do. He's got a following. And let me tell you who it is, because I'm out there. I'm in the street.
Okay.
I'm with people in line who are trying to go. 50% of the people in the city of Chicago are making under $50,000 a year. Who do you think they're going to vote for? Huh? Who do you think they're going to vote for? Look at Michigan. Look at New York. Who do you think they're going to vote for? I'm telling you, I'm out there. I go to events where he's heralded as a king. You want to see how popular he is? Come to the Buddy Billiken parade on Sunday. He's like a folk hero. You know what? Get real
Yeah,
here.
and you know, again, it's one of those elections where 20% of the voters show up, and if they don't show up to vote, then you're going to get what you get. And I continually blame the voters. You want to complain? I don't want to hear it from you if you haven't voted or gotten involved quite frankly, at this point. I want you to actually get involved. It's disgusting. And so, yeah, you're right. He easily could find his 20% somehow.
Yeah, he's my competition, not Alexei.
Okay.
You know, I'm not afraid of Alexei Janoulias. I'm not afraid of anybody in this race.
It's all about the Greek vote.
You know, Willie Wilson, Brandon, Mendoza, Olberg, Kelly. I talk to these people all the time. I'm a good candidate. I tell them, here, take my schedule. Come out. I'll introduce you to people. I ain't afraid of anybody.
Maria, you know what? Maria, I'm not as familiar with your background as maybe I should be because I live in Wheaton. But you've been the county treasurer for how long? You've been the county treasurer for how long? Because I respect that office because it actually has to deal with the numbers and you have to know what you're doing.
I've been there some 30-odd years, you know, and another 8 years on the board. You know, listen, Amy, I'm on third base. I'm 77 years old. You know, I'm on third base. I'm sliding into home. You know why I'm going to run for mayor?
Why?
The city needs a 10-year plan. Somebody to come in there for 4 years with an axe and get the train back on track. Nobody can do that except Pappas because I don't care if I wreck my reputation. For me, it's about trying to save the city. And if somebody doesn't go in there with an axe, a hammer, a dog, and a whip, it's over. Pack it up. Go to Greece. Go to Spain. Go to Portugal. We're screwed.
I totally agree with you.
With any brains knows it. What?
I totally agree with you.
You will? Everybody agrees with me. That's why they're going to vote for me. You know what? Listen to me. If you're Jewish, go to the synagogue. If you're Christian, go to church. If you're an Arab, go to the mosque and pray that Pappas loses. Hope for me that I lose this race.
Why?
Seriously.
Okay.
Because I need this like I need a hole in my head. I'm doing it because I want to save the city that I spent 50 years building. You think I need to be mayor? Are you out of your mind? But you know what? I'm the only one who could do it. And I know it. So let's step up to the plate. And you know what? I lost. What did I lose? My virginity? Really? What did I lose? Huh? What did I lose? Amy?
And people should know that you're a lawyer. You're an accomplished concert pianist. I mean, and then I love your wardrobe. I love your social medias. My sons even know who you were, which was odd. I said, how do you know? They're like, oh, we see her reels.
You know who loses? You know who loses if Pappas loses?
Us.
Pappas can't lose. She's a winner. The only one that loses are the idiots that don't come out and vote.
Okay. All right. We're going to have to leave it there. Maria Pappas, Cook County Treasurer. And let us know. We'll have you back on later on when you officially announce. But
I'll have some big news for you in 4 weeks, but it's not about the mayor's race, and it's huge.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate your authenticity. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you appreciate me telling you I'm not a Vestal virgin, right?
You're the best. All right. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Subscribe to the Real Story podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at 560theanswer.com.
Hey, it's Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. When people call us, they're not just selling a house. They're usually dealing with something bigger, a major life change, a family transition, or an overwhelming situation. We recently helped a family in Aurora. Mom needed memory care, and her kids were trying to coordinate everything from out of town. The house was full of 40 years of belongings, and they were completely overwhelmed. They told us they didn't have the time or energy for repairs and a major clean-out. We bought the house as is and gave them the time they needed to take what mattered. Family photos, heirlooms, whatever they wanted. And we handled the rest. After closing, they sent us a note. You gave us time to grieve, not just sell a house. Since 2007, our veteran-led team has helped hundreds of Chicagoland families through difficult transitions with no pressure and no gimmicks. If you're ready for a no-obligation conversation, call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com. That's jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560.
The Answer.
All right. Well, I mean,
She was a firecracker.
she's great. I mean, we go from Charles Lipson, who I love with his southern drawl, to Maria Pappas, who is like all Chicago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
I
it's
love
fun.
it. I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to bring a hacksaw in there, dog whistle.
Yeah, we got to get that clip.
Yeah.
That was gold. She should really use that. Okay, let's go to Greg and LaGrange. Greg, welcome to the program.
What's going on? I guess that proves that there's always happy hour somewhere in the world. I just don't buy the excitement angle of it. This race needs excitement. I think, Jeannie, you're absolutely correct. The voter base, the civics, the citizenry of this state is just not motivated to come out and vote. They're not properly motivated. They're educated to do it. The corruption, the whole COVID ordeal, the fear, the crime, the lack of food being available, and the press being such an oppressive force against legitimacy in fact has driven this thing into the numbers that you see. And I think, well, you know what brings excitement to me? If I had a family, the lack of food that I can put on my table, the cost of food I can put on my table, the safety of my children going to school, the quality of schools, the education I get when I go to a Chicago public school. That's what brings excitement to me, and that's what should motivate every single person in this race. If you want excitement, go to ABT, man. You know what? They have great stuff there, and they have all sorts of carnival. It's like a carnival-like atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
I like the saltwater fish tank.
No, I totally agree with you. I had a group of candidates into my office just talk about, issues and things that were going on. And they said, you know what, you're missing the biggest issue. I said, well, what's that? And they said, voter apathy. That is our biggest concern in this election. Our voters are they don't think that anything will change if they vote. And I'm here to tell you that's the entire reason I did the Governor DeSantis versus Governor Pritzker, 8th year. What have they both accomplished? I did that post intentionally to bring it to the forefront the people that if you vote in different politicians, you can get a different result. It does matter. Your vote does matter, but the voters don't believe it. And so the campaign that can elevate that you can actually get on a better trajectory is a campaign that should win. Is it the campaign that will win? Not by any, not that I can see, because the unions, unfortunately, control the vote here.
As always, thank you so much for listening. We're back at it tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Have a wonderful day. Scott Jennings is next.